good 2 days work to start the week. I like how the team's moving around. I like the attention to detail. I like the energy at practice. I think all those things are good. Questions?
Kyle, JT Barrett and Braxton Miller are probably two of the more unique players you'll play all year. How do you replicate that on the scout team?
It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard. You know, we got Chris Parker back there playing some quarterback. We've got some guys rolling through, playing all those positions. But it's not easy to do. I mean, you're talking about two of the more dynamic football players in all of college football. So to take guys on your team that aren't starting or aren't playing a lot and think that you're going to be able to simulate it completely is hard. But, the other thing we've done the last couple of weeks is some self-service. Where we have the starters on offense, running some plays for the defense, the starters on defense running some looks for the offense. A little bit more of a pro model, but I think that's served us well. I think that's been good for us to get the quality of the work.
Ezekiel Elliott, is he as good of a running back as you'll face?
I think he is. Yeah, and we've seen some good ones in the last couple of years. I think he's right in the conversation with all those guys. He has all the attributes of a running of what makes a dominant running back, and then he's got the physical stature to go with it. Not all those guys, I think, have the stature that he does.
Cal, you said Carew didn't practice yesterday. Was he able to do any more today?
He did a little bit more today. Not enough to get him out here on the field, but he's moving in the right direction. Whether that means it'll be fast enough to get him on the field Saturday, we won't know that till later in the week.
Do you have like a guideline in mind how many times guys to practice, or is it case by case?
I think it's case by case. For a younger player, you'd like to see him out there. Somebody like Leonte, who's played so much football, I don't really have a concern with it.
As far as your running game goes, is a balanced rotation still ideal, or are you open to a hot hand kind of thing again, like what happened on Saturday?
I'll let it play out as the game goes. We'll start the game with the way we've been starting it. I believe that, as great as all those runs were, whichever running back we had in the game at the time would have been able to make them, and I think we've seen that over the last season and a half. Games where Paul James has been the dominant player, games where Josh Hicks has been the dominant player, games where Robert Martin's been the dominant player. So certainly if a guy seems to have a little bit better feel, you want to give him a few more touches. I think we got to the fourth quarter last week, we did that. But when we start the game, they're all going to get an opportunity to touch the ball.
Now, do you think the players are aware when they come out to the field the first time if this stadium's full as opposed to sometimes late arriving Rutgers crowds?
Oh, there's no question. There's no question. I said yesterday, I think we have the best primetime atmosphere in all of college football, and I believe that. And I've seen enough of them over the last 11 seasons. When you're coming out for warm-ups and the stadium's just about full, and the student section is full, and they're elevating the emotional level of everybody in the program. So there's no question they're a tremendous advantage for us at home.
Kyle, you've obviously had to play some true freshmen right out of the gates. Is it different when you throw them into the fire if someone had to play, say, today after not playing in the first 6 games?
Experience always helps. Yeah, that would be the answer, I think, to that question. The more experience you have, the less they play like freshmen. We've seen that with some of the guys who've played early. A guy like John Badicky's getting better every week, so he's had the advantage. But as we continue to go forward, if some of these other freshmen get activated and have to play for us, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. You understand that anytime you put a young guy in the game, there's going to be some things that are going to happen that aren't going to be perfect, and you just got to keep coaching him through it. You're putting him in the game because ultimately you think he's going to make the team better.
Coach, you've seen a big contribution from special teams over the last 2 games. What does that mean to the overall mindset of the team, and how important is it to your team?
It's one of the building blocks of our program. But we've always felt like special teams was a way we could get an advantage in a game. It's a way we can win a game. It's never been a way to just pass the ball back and forth. We've never approached it like that. We spent a lot of time on it in meetings, spent a lot of time on it in practice. The finer points all the way down to, how to scoop and score a fumble, which I thought Kamoko, I said after the game, I didn't see if he did it exactly like we taught, but you look at it on film, and he did a pretty good job of doing it the way we teach. So that was good to see. That's good to see the coaching come up on the film in a live situation.
Quinn Gauze actually jarred that ball loose from the punter. A starter like that playing on specials, what do the younger guys see from a guy like that?
It immediately shows the younger players in the program the value of special teams. And I think that's the only way you can do it is to have some of your better playmakers on special teams, or guys that started their careers and on special teams and have grown into bigger roles. A guy like Leonte would go into that category, although Leonte was back on special teams last week on the punt block unit. So I think they see that, and we certainly can point to the history of the McCourty brothers. Devin McCourty had one of the more spectacular years as a special teams player that I've ever seen his senior year. Affecting so many games in so many ways other than playing at a high level at corner. So we've got a history of it we can point to, and we've got actually stuff happening in the present, I think, that we can point to. And those add value to the younger players who maybe didn't realize that when they got here.
How's the secondary looked in practice with some of the changes we might see for Saturday?
I'm pleased. I'm pleased with where they are. I think they're all working, and my expectation level is that they just come out and continue to work on the game plan, how they fit into the game plan, and then give us great effort every day and just continue to improve.
How good was that play Sebastian made on the 3rd and 1 at the end of the game? What did he do there, and what did you see from him?
Yeah, it was an excellent play. You know, it was a movement up front, and he started out on the center. He actually came around the right guard, and then got in the backfield and made the play. More importantly, you know, it's not just enough just to get there and be disruptive. You want to get there and make the tackle, and it becomes a TFL in a crucial situation, a 3-and-out that gets us the ball back. A TFL that doesn't really allow them an opportunity to go. Not that they couldn't have gone for it on 4th down, but I think the percentages go down, you know, from where they would have been at. So it was a big play in the game because it got us the ball back.
Kyle, are there any moral victories against the #1 team in the country, or is winning the only thing that can really move this team forward?
We don't put our mind on any of those things. All we're trying to do is come out on Saturday night and play to the best of our ability. To win the situations that we know ultimately create a 1-0 situation for us on Saturday. You know, we look at all our focus goes on to things like drive, start, turnovers, explosive plays. There's no moral victories in major college football. It's not something we ever talk about. Thank you.